All right, Ian.
Yeah.
News from my favorite website, NintendoAge. So we reported on NintendoAge being bought out by Go Collect, sold.
We did.
By Dane, was that 4 months ago? Wasn't a huge amount long ago. It was like, I think it was in the summer or early summer. So already the plans are in place. They're gonna switch servers, Go Collect. And so this news came about a week ago only. We're recording this on the 29th. That's why Pat has his little Pat-Man mask on. And obviously a lot of people were upset by the lack of communication. And there wasn't a huge amount of communication when the original sale went through. Mods weren't made aware. People weren't sure what was going to happen to their information. So it's been in flux of the past week. And the biggest thing people are concerned about is that when you switch servers to a new server, usually the old information isn't carried over. There's no way to carry over the old posts, and there's a treasure trove of information on NintendoAge. And I give NintendoAge some grief because some of the members will say are overzealous and pricks on the site, but there's good people on the site, and there's a lot of information on the site that's like the only place you can still find it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a resource.
For example, one of the cool things on the site I liked was there was a whole thread about all the you'll hear about the M82. The M is like Nintendo's demonstration unit code. So there's a whole list of all the M units Nintendo put out from like 1 to it's like 160 up to modern day. All the demonstration kiosks and units, and it cataloged them. And there wasn't a place to find all that in one place with pictures and descriptions from like the brochures that a store would get. Oh, I want this unit. I want this. It was like for a lot of people the first time or only time you could find a picture of like all the early Rob setups in the stores and things like that. So there's a lot of information like that that's on the site. Besides back in the day, not so much anymore, where a lot of the news about games being dumped or found or big sales happened on NintendoAge,
right? Like
5, 6, 7 years ago. Not so much the past few years. So people were rightfully scared about this. They had no idea. So I saw some tweets online about like asking website archive sites to please archive this just in case, things of that nature. So now we're hearing that, according to this thread on NintendoAge, that they are looking to back this up. That's the good news. But it has not appeased the long-time standing members of the site. They've broken off. A lot of former members have broken off and started their own new website forum called videogamesage.com or Video Game Sage. It's Video Game Sage. It's actually Video Game Sage.
Yeah, it's Video Game Sage.
It's actually Video Game Sage, not Video Game Ages. Okay. And so they're starting their own forum there. So far, it's a little paltry in terms of different offerings there. It's going to be tough, though, I think, to me, going from NintendoAge, has so much there into a new forum. And I've never been a part of a site religiously where the forum was coming to an end and then going to a new forum. Maybe you have been. I don't know how that affects the community.
It never works.
Never works?
No, I mean, there have been a few forums that I was part of that I posted in regularly in the late 90s and up to the mid 2000s, and every time one of those forums ends and everyone's like, we're migrating over here, no one ever does. And it's funny too, because it's interesting to me how comfortable people get in a certain forum. It becomes like a home, and not all those people are like hardcore online. They don't always find a new place. They just fall off. I used to spend a lot of time like looking around various forums to find the people that I used to talk to on old video game and music forums, thinking that naturally they must be migrating someplace else too. But you don't. A lot of those people you don't run into again. So
it sort of loses the luster.
Yeah.
And you go to another site, it's like, okay, I've had enough. Playtime's over.
I mean, everything just from the visual look of it, I think, is something that when you're on a forum a lot and you're constantly getting into the conversation and making posts and you're in threads, even something like the look becomes something that you associate with what you're doing.
Sure.
So I think that even just like the visual aspect of it is a big change for a lot of people.
A lot of sarcastic responses in the thread from people. Oh, is this one that threatened to kick me in the balls, this person? Could be. How are you going to manage handling the traffic for the 8 people that are still members here? So that they're going after these people. And we knew, of course, that this was a database sale when this happened, mainly. They didn't care about the forum. I mean, The value was in the
Right.
database for Go Collect, starting with a pretty robust database. And of course, people in the thread argue, well, you could have scraped that for free or get it from other sites that have scraped it for all the locations. There's lots of video game databases out there already, price charting, things of that nature that has a lot of this information out there. Even though NintendoAge probably had a lot of it first, and they have a lot of the images and things like that. So that's really what the play is. But obviously, they don't want to go over the top and pissing off people. But the fact that it was only a week's heads up alarmed a lot of people, and rightfully so, because they don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, they won't be able to access the old threads and post them, but at least having those available as an archive will be important. So from what I saw, they are going to archive and save the old database. I'm not sure how it's going to be accessible from the website directly or whatever. You have to do a search to see Pat's arguments with people about how sealed game collecting isn't really game collecting from 8, 9, 10 years ago. That'll be fun. It's a strange situation, and I'm not going to dance on NintendoAge's grave at all when it comes to this. It's an important resource here, even if there were a lot of bad apples that I think were pieces of garbage that were on the site.
Every forum is like that, though.
Yeah, but they were running the asylum. That was the whole point. It got to the point where they ran the asylum when the Tim Atwood stuff came up, and they banned them.
Oh, sure.
Them. That was bad. That was a watershed moment, and I got blowback for that, but I didn't care because they cleaned up a little bit after that point when it was pointing out how bad some of the mods were on the site with their own rules and things.
Sure.
And people, and there was some turnover. Anyway, so I guess we'll see what happens by the time this segment comes out on YouTube. Then the new site might be up already, because I said the end of the month, and November 1st is on Friday. Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting situation. It's the end of an era. We knew NintendoAge's quote unquote influence was sort of waning. They didn't have a booth at PRGE this year for the first time that I remember, because it's Go Collect now. There was a Go Collect booth instead. So that's basically how they're rebranding it. So NintendoAge as a brand is pretty much going away.
Right.
And I'm not sure, it was Dane's baby, his site. He can do what he wants. I wonder if he knew what happened this quickly. Where it's like the name it's not going to mean anything going forward, basically, with that. Any last thoughts on our pals at NintendoAge here?
No.
All right. Well, hopefully the old database sticks around so you can at least do some searching there on there.